Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today we're playing Secret of Mana. That's right. I bought a top-of-the-line PC, brand new, so I could play Super Nintendo games. Pretty exciting. No, of course, I wanted to stream Anthem, much as I did a couple days ago when it came out. It's just, no, the problem is with Anthem. Something is just not optimized properly. Because I tried running it at 720p on low settings, and my RTX 2080 Ti was at 98% load. You know, I highly doubt that it's supposed to be at 720p on low settings pushing a top-of-the-line graphics card to its maximum limits. So no matter what settings you run it on, it just maxes out your graphics card and pretty much maxes out your CPU as well. And so when I'm playing Anthem, like normally when I'm playing something, I'll just have like my other monitor, like with a show or something, a YouTube video or whatever playing in the background. I can't do that with Anthem, because Anthem takes up like every ounce of my computer's processing power. So if I try to have anything else going on, it just lags out completely. Not Anthem, but whatever else is going on. So that would, of course, include OBS. Now, I think Shadowplay worked for the video I put out, just due to the way that, I don't know, it hooks in through, I don't know, however NVIDIA does it. It's obviously a little different than OBS. So maybe I could have streamed it with Shadowplay, but I don't know. Maybe they'll sort it out someday, maybe they won't, we'll see. It's not that big of a deal, I don't need to stream it. I'm glad I at least got a video put out, even though the audio did mess up a little bit. But yeah, I've really been enjoying Anthem. Unused RAM is wasted RAM, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Anthem, but I have been enjoying it. It's been getting quite a bit of negative reviews. I think it's at like a 60% on Metacritic. I don't know. The discussion seems to be based around like people that have put in 100 hours so far, and they're like, there's no end game, there's no future, there's all these bugs, and it's just like, there's no future for this game. And it's like, I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't expect much. But if I get 100 hours out of a game that I paid $60 for, that's good enough. You know, we've got all these sort of games as a service thing going on, and I think people are just expecting to have games that you play for months on end. And you keep coming back to it, and that's all you play. You know, the Battle Royales and the Destinies that are akin to MMOs. You know, they want people to continually play it. And it seems like Anthem was designed with that mindset. But, you know, I'm playing it by myself. I have not grouped up with anyone else. And, you know, I'm not going to play it for months on end. I know that. But, you know, if I play it for 100 hours, I have a fun time with it, I put it down, and that's good. That's fine. So, I have been having a fun time with it. I think the combat's really good. Just flying around and shooting stuff, and I don't know, it feels fun to me. But, I've only put a dozen hours or so into it. Not to say that it's perfect, but it was just like, I was just like flying around in free play and stuff in just this big open world. It's not that open, I mean, once you sort of get into it, but still, just flying around like Iron Man and just rocketing stuff and just blowing stuff. It was just, I don't know, it just seemed so cool. I think it was probably because I've not been following its development at all. I really didn't have any expectations for it. I got it for free, so it worked out. I think hopefully some point this week, maybe tonight, Ziggy and I are going to try out Apex Legends, which is very popular right now. It's a little disappointing to me. If you had announced just Titanfall, the Battle Royale, I think that would be pretty cool. Which is what it's supposed to be, but you don't have mechs, although there's maybe word that that'll get added at some point. And there's no wall running, which is a little weird. But I tried it out on my own. I just, I went through like the training, which wasn't really necessary because there's not a whole lot unique going on there. I was like, okay, I guess I'm comfortable. I'll give it a try. I usually don't like playing. Well, for one, I'm not big on battle royales, at least the ones that I've tried. But they say that Apex Legends is different, and it's a lot easier for an average player to get a win. And I'm not big on just playing with in like a squad with random people, because I always feel pressure to like perform well. And so you get put into this squad with these people that have like, 150 kills, on record. And then they see my thing and it's just kills 0. And it's like, oh, God. So I get put in this squad, and at the start, you drop out of the ship. And it's kind of nice because you can just, you're really meant to work as a squad. Or at least I thought, right? That's what I thought. And so when you launch out of the ship, you have like this flight leader or whatever, and by default you're just sort of linked up with them, so you don't even have to control where you're going. The flight person is controlling where you're going so that you land together. You can break off if you want, but I was just following the guy. I was just with him. I wasn't doing anything. So we land on like a distant part of the map. And I'm familiar enough with the concept that you have to run around at the start and get some gear real quick so that your guns and blah, blah, blah. So I start following this guy, and, I'm trying to grab whatever things I can. He's ahead of me. He seems to know what he's doing, so he's picking up almost everything. I'm not getting much. But I don't know anything, I really have no idea what to do, so I'm just following this guy around. Until suddenly my speakers just come to life, and I hear this guy's very pissed off voice saying, "Stop fucking following me." And I'm like, oh shit. Like I broke some etiquette or something. Some unspoken rule. So of course I stopped following him. I follow directions. So I ran off in a different direction. I'm like, okay, you know, I guess you're not supposed to stick with your squad. So I started picking up some stuff on my own, and then I got ambushed by 3 people that were, you know, working together as a squad, and I died, and so then I just quit. And that was it. That was me trying out Apex Legends. So, yeah, Ziggy and I are going to give it a try, probably with someone else, and actually function as a squad. I mean, maybe the guy meant, like, stop following me, you know, stay in this area, pick up some gear, and then, you know, then we regroup as a squad. I don't know, but he said it in a way that just, like, I was committing some heinous sin by just being near him. So, I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, so yeah, the new computer I got, very sweet, very slick. You know, it's not like I haven't upgraded my computer in 12 years, and I'm entering the modern age now. You know, my old computer was pretty decent, but this one is fairly future-proof for the next 5 years or so. And I don't have a problem running anything at whatever settings I want, except for Anthem, apparently. If I want to do anything else. So, yeah. So I got a new computer. I also bought a new monitor. I was using, like, for the past year or so, I've been using a TCL 4K TV, which is like $300. It's, I mean, it was 4K. It wasn't like shit, but it was not like a proper gaming monitor. So I upgraded to a proper gaming monitor. It's an LG something. It's 1440p, 144 hertz. I debated between getting 4K or going for 144 hertz. Obviously, you'd like to have both. But I think you have to spend like a couple grand if you want that, if it even exists currently. So, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good monitor. And I also got some new speakers. I got Logitech G560s, which they sound pretty good. I'm not an audiophile, so I can't really say, but I like how they sound. And, well, they had a lot of complaints on the reviews, because, like, an early version of the firmware or whatever, there was a big problem with the volume. Like, apparently, like, they had a problem where, like, if you were on level, like, volume 8, it was too quiet. But if you went to volume 10, it was way too loud. And so it just was not sorted out. But that has been fixed now. I can confirm I have no problems with that, and it sounds good. But they also have RGB lighting. So basically, there's 2 speakers. Each one has sort of a light, sort of in the middle, I guess. It's sort of hard to explain. And one on the back. So one is sort of... one light you see, and then the other light sort of bounces onto the wall behind it. Essentially, there's 4 lights between your 2 speakers, okay? And so these lights, you can set them up with like an audio visualizer or whatever if you want to have like a rave. But the real key feature here is the screen sampler. So each light corresponds to like a section of your screen. So like the upper left, upper right, lower left, lower right. And so then when you're playing something or you're watching a movie or whatever, it's taking like the left side and right sides of your screen and basically looking at what the dominant light is, the dominant color. And then that's reflected in the RGB lighting. So basically, if if the whole screen is like you're in like a burning building or something. So there's just, you know, fire everywhere. It's red all over the place. All the lights on your speakers are going to be like red or orange. And that's just going to be bouncing across your wall and in your face and stuff. And so it basically extends your visual range. You know, so it's like you're really almost immersed in this fire. Or if, you know, if you're on a seat, like you're playing Breath of the Wild, like I was playing Breath of the Wild, and there's like the flat green plains of the grass, and then there's the blue sky. So then you'll have a couple of the lights that are blue for the sky, and then a couple of the lights which are green for the grass, and so you get sort of that that horizon split. And then sometimes, you know, you'll be playing a game and there'll be like some fire or some lighting, some specific lighting on the left side of the screen, and then the right side will have like nothing, and so then it'll be sort of split that way. And so it looks like the fire is just sort of extending off of your screen. It basically just enhances the visuals of whatever you're looking at. It doesn't always work, especially if there's something, if you're playing something or watching something that has a lot of like fast cuts or fast moving things, and it changes colors rapidly. It can't quite keep up, and so it just it turns more into a rave mode. But when it works, and it works often, it's awesome. Like, it's really good. So if you're looking for some new PC speakers, and you don't mind spending a couple $100, Logitech G560s. It's a really cool effect. Yeah, so it's all good. It's all good. This week on this channel, we had Simulacra, which has one more video, so that's almost done. And then we had Final Fantasy 13, which has maybe 12 or so more videos. So that'll be a little while. So after Simulacra, we still have like nearly a month until Sekiro. So, you know, I can continue Metroid if people want to see Metroid 2. Or I can do Warhammer 40k Mechanicus, which is not... It's not done. I don't have like a full LP of it, but... Yes, it did arrive. I'm playing on my new PC. Right now, you are seeing Secret of Mana running off of a RTX 2080 Ti. So it'll probably be 40k Mechanicus. Although I also wanted to check out, I think it's like 40k Inquisitor Martyr or something. It's got like 3 subtitles. Yeah, Warhammer 40,000 Inquisitor Martyr. I don't know. They could have just called it Inquisitor unless there's other Inquisitor games. Like, look, you see this review right here for Inquisitor Martyr. Like, there's a negative review. It says, I had fun playing campaign, and that's all. Endgame is tedious and boring. It's like, why do we expect an endgame from everything? And this guy has 45 hours played. Just, that's fine. Like, I don't play Secret of Mana and just like, oh, I hope the endgame is really good. Like, just enjoy what you get. I don't know. I don't get it. Maybe I'm old school. Anyways, so that's about all there is to say about that. On the Exploring series, we had SCP-096, which has been pretty well received. Although, it's funny because on a few videos now, I've mentioned that something like, you know, this SCP has, like, the hallmarks of an early SCP. And then I always get a few comments that are like, well, what are the hallmarks of an early SCP? And I could explain it. But I think all you really have to do is look at the comment section of any of my videos that are on an early SCP, like 173, 096, 093, 184. Because the comment section is always filled with, like, questions. Like, basic questions and, like, not inaccuracies, but, what's the word? Inconsistencies. Things like that. So, like, I just, you know, the 096 video just got flooded with all these comments are like, well, why don't they just send it into the sun, and what if you do this, and what if you do this, and what if you did that, and I just, pretty much every SCP video has some comments like that, but most of the newer ones do not get flooded in that same way. For whatever reason. But I just feel like that's a hallmark of an early SCP. Oh, and the Cain and Abel video as well was definitely big on that. Of just people like, well, you know, how does this work? Why does it work this way? And well, what if you do this to that? And what will happen? And, you know, all just comments like that. I feel like that's a hallmark of an early SCP. Not all of them, obviously. And there are newer SCPs that have the same issues, but that's just what I feel. Maybe I should explain it, but I don't know. Anyways. So I didn't do a Warhammer 40k video this week because I wasn't feeling it. I talked about that last week. So instead, I announced that the Exploring series is now available in podcast form. I didn't want to title that video the Exploring series podcast because I didn't want people to think that it was new, although some people certainly did think that. And some people were like, oh man, I'm sorry that you know, YouTube is done, but at least we'll be able to listen to you. It's like, no, please listen to my words. That's not what's happening. But yeah, people definitely seem appreciative of the whole podcast thing and being available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and wherever they listen to stuff. I don't listen to any podcast ever, so I have no idea. Although I do use Spotify, but okay. So really, it was very little effort on my part to put all the SCP stuff on the podcast on Anchor. Putting all the old stuff is going to take more time. It's not a super quick, like, one-button press thing. I do have to reprocess all the videos into MP3s and stuff, but it'll get done eventually. Do I have a favorite gaming genre? It would probably be RPGs. I think yeah, I mean, RPG is a very broad genre. Because, I mean, is Dark Souls an RPG? I guess so. So, you know, if I'm able to lump in both turn-based RPGs, action RPGs, tactical RPGs, all into one genre, yeah, that's probably pretty dominant. Shit. Get up! Where was I? Yeah, so Anchor actually is really, I would have never have known about it, but a fan sent me a message on Twitter about it. And it's been really cool so far. It was really easy. They take care of, like, everything for you. I don't know what they get out of it, but they take care of everything. And they start you off with a sponsorship, which is really cool. I mean, the sponsorship is for Anchor, which makes sense. But, you know, you can make money immediately. You have a sponsor. It's cool. So I recorded, you know, a little 30-second thing for Anchor. And it's actually a sponsor that I'll stand by, because Anchor, it has been really cool and really easy. So, yeah, I'll recommend Anchor. And so far, I've made like 30 bucks off of the Anchor sponsorship. So it's like $10 a day, which isn't mind-blowing, but it's a hell of a lot better than Amazon has been for me, which is like $30 a month. So, you know, I assume if it keeps building and more people keep listening, Anchor will throw some other sponsorships my way. I don't know. I feel a little iffy about doing sponsorships on YouTube. I don't know why. Something about the sanctity of my YouTube videos. But for the podcasts, I don't want to say that I care less, but I guess I'm more open to it. It's also a lot easier with Anchor, because they automatically include whatever 30-second clip that you record. They put it in all of your episodes. Again, automatic. Like, I don't have to edit each one to throw it in there. They take care of it. I just have to record it once. So it's really good. Yeah. RPG is just... It's a broad category. Because, like, you know, if my favorite game ever was, like, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that can't just be described as, like, an action-adventure game anymore. It's got a lot of RPG, you know, tropes to it. So, you know, skill trees, equipment, all that sort of stuff is just invading pretty much every genre. So, yeah. But I'm a pretty big fan of old school turn-based RPGs. So either way, I'd pick RPG as my favorite genre. Anyway, so I didn't record a Warhammer 40k video this week, but I am working on one right now for this coming week. It's going to be on orcs, which are pretty interesting. You know, I'll get to very seriously say the word "wah" without roaring it. So that'll be interesting. And I get to explain the "wah." I also finished a video on Dr. Bright, which I can't wait for the comments section of that. Because Dr. Bright, for most people that are fans of SCP, is just this big joke character. He's like the Deadpool of the SCP universe. And I made an entire lore video on him without referencing any sort of meme or joke. So, I don't know what people are going to think. You know, I actually like the serious, like, actual version of Dr. Bright, as written by, you know, his creator. For the most part. I think even his creator has done some jokey stuff. But, you know, looking at the Bright family and their sort of tragic history and weirdness and stuff like that, I don't know. I think it's a decent video. We'll see what people have to say about it. And then I think this coming week, I'm probably working on a video on the Hanged King, which will be very interesting. That's very Lovecraftian. Very much, well, not even Lovecraftian. Whatever that other guy's name is. They wrote The King in Yellow. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. So that should be good. Okay, moving on. Okay, role manging. So, for Dungeon Crawl Classics, we had our second session of the funnel, and we're still not done with the funnel. I think this is the longest funnel in the history of funnels. I didn't want to do that. So in the first session of the funnel, we had 0 combats and 0 deaths. We upped it a little bit. We got a little bit more intense this time. We had 1 combat, although it only involved 1 character. And we had a total of 2 deaths out of 16. So, you know, things ramped up a little bit. It's still not at its peak intensity, but it's getting there. So far, we have not entered into the tomb. That was the... that's the main point of the funnel. But maybe. Actually, to be honest, I don't think we'll actually get to it before we reach level 1. I think once we hit level 1, I'll be like, okay, let's head into that tomb now. So let's see. So we were planning to rig this lottery box so that it would be... it would provide, it would guarantee the name of the old witch being picked. And once her name was picked, she would go out there and she would kill the beast, and we would all be happy. That is, of course, not what happened. But interesting developments erupted. So we went out there, and we had one of Phil's characters serve as a distraction for the guards that were watching the lockbox. And so he threw some rocks at them, and they both chased after him, and that was the only combat, was him fighting these two. They weren't really guards, they were like priests or acolytes. So I think they just had like a club. And his character happened to have a sword, and without that he would have died. But since he had the sword, he actually killed both of them. He got very lucky. I mean, when you only have 4 HP, it's very easy to die. So he happened to kill both of them, but then he wanted to flee the city. But he didn't want to go through the front entrance, where it was watched. So he wanted to just, like, climb over one of the walls, the palisades. But he fumbled his roll, and so he basically skewered himself on the top of this spiked wall, and died. So they, like, later recovered his corpse from the wall. He served his purpose, but yeah, it was not a very noble death. But he was a peasant. Actually, he was an outlaw. So the distraction worked, though, and we managed to get the box open, take all the original names out, and put in the rigged witch's name. But we noticed, or I noticed, that attached to the lid of the box was a small box. And so we had a discussion later that it seemed that they had already rigged this box. And this box, they would put like names into the box through the hole on the top or whatever that would just go into the little box. And so that would guarantee then that whatever names they put in were pulled. I don't know how exactly they got away with this for so long. But I guess... yeah, I guess they were just... at some secretive time of night, they would put in whosever name they wanted to into the little box, and then during the lottery, they would just pull that name out. And so they could pick whoever they wanted to go for the sacrifice. So that was pretty dirty. So we decided that we could either put the witch's name in the little box and hope that that works out, or we could just remove the little box entirely. We decided to just remove the little box entirely, which in the end I think was the better choice, although we still got screwed. So I sent like Mert and Thomas to go take care of it. They ended up getting the small box off of the lid, but they were sort of noticed. There was another chase. I think one of Mert's characters had to flee the city, which he did successfully. And the main priest of the town suspected that we had tampered with the box. And so we believed that he was going to tell the Jarl, and they were going to open the box, and then our whole plan was going to be ruined. So I'm like, okay, well, we can't let that happen. I didn't think that the priest would wake up the Jarl in the middle of the night just to inform him of this. Because there was really nothing immediate about this, you know. He would just tell him before they did the lottery. So I thought, okay, we have to kill the priest. You know, we have to stop him from talking. So we're gonna sneak into the church, we're gonna slit his throat, and then we're gonna dump his body in the town well. So that, you know, nobody finds it for a few days until it starts really stinking. And so we gathered up like a strike commando team to carry out this mission, which was spearheaded by Ovum. But as we got to the town square, we found out that like one of the Jarl's advisors was telling the priest that, you know, no one has tampered with the box. Somebody would have seen it. This is ridiculous. Just go to bed. It's basically something like that. I think Ziggy just did not want us to carry out this mission and take all this time, even though I think it would have been pretty cool. But okay. So we went to bed. The lottery was the next day. They had not looked in the box, so our plan was still in effect. But the Jarl decreed that since we had been in town long enough, it was time that our names be put into the box. All 15 of us. Or 14 of us at this point. And we could have left town. It's not like we were absolutely forced to put our names in under penalty of death. But we would have had to have leave town and never come back. And at this point, I think that was pretty much death. So it really was not in our best interest to leave. And we figured the odds were with us. You know, since like 250 of the names in that box were the witch. And there was only 14 of our names going in. So the odds were really with us, right? So we're like, okay, just put our names in the box. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. You know, had we not removed the little box and we had just, like, put in, like, 10 of the witches' names, the odds would have been far worse for us. But Ziggy decided that someone had to roll 2d100. And if they rolled under 15 on both dice, then the name chosen was one of ours. Wow, I just got massacred. So that's what, like a 7% chance, I think? Something like that. The odds were highly in our favor. But if you've ever played XCOM, you know how that goes. So we had Mert roll for some reason. And he rolled a 3 and a 4. My God. Ridiculous. So, against many odds, one of our names was pulled from the box. Now, normally in this situation, Ziggy would roll... He would assign all of our characters a number. God damn it. He would assign all of our characters a number, and then he would roll a die, and then whoever was picked would be the one that was picked. That would be fair. But whether to punish me for really just fucking up this funnel, or just because he thought it would be the most interesting, he just picked Artemis. Now, yes, if there was any player and any character that would try the hardest to survive, it would be Artemis. It would be with Artemis. It was pretty much my main character, the one that I'm hoping makes it to level 1. So here he is, suddenly, you know, a foreigner in this town, randomly chosen to be a sacrifice to the great beast. Now, in many situations, of course, if we were like level 5 or whatever, we would just use magic or use just a show of force, or we would just flee town and go somewhere else, or something. You know, we would not just, okay, I'll be sacrificed. But Ziggy made it pretty clear that if we were to leave the region, so if we were to just head on the road and go somewhere else, we would all die. He made that pretty clear. Like, we are just not equipped for that. There's too many dangers out there at this point. We're very likely to have made it to this town. It's dangerous out there. We're peasants. It's understandable. Also, you know, he wants us to do the damn funnel. So, I understand. But even if we were to just leave town and stay around the town, we still are probably going to be killed. Because, again, it's dangerous out there. There's swamp jackals and all sorts of stuff. So even if I just had Artemis, like, run, and he was exiled, he's gonna die. My God. Okay, I don't think I'm ready for this. I need to just farm on these Chobins or Chobins or whatever. So, yeah, fleeing was not an option. I had no magic. We had no show of force. They were all, like, armed guards and stuff. I couldn't persuade or bluff or intimidate or anything like that because these people fully believed that sacrificing an individual every 3 days was their best way of dealing with the beast. And they would certainly rather sacrifice some foreigner they don't know than one of their own citizens. So there's really nothing that I could do. It's not like I could bribe them, or like I had no options on the table. But I did have Ovum. As long as you got Ovum, you're not down for the count. And in this situation, the only thing that Ovum could do was volunteer as a tribute in Artemis's stead. So, yeah, Ovum and Artemis for this funnel are basically my two like most promising characters. I had Gug, who was pretty much average in every way, and then I had Sloopy, who was just a fucking garbage truck of uselessness. So of course I would gladly have Sloopy sacrifice instead of Artemis or Ovum, but you gotta play to your characters. And Gug or Sloopy would never volunteer to be sacrificed instead. They just wouldn't. And normally Ovum wouldn't either. But when it comes to Artemis, that's just how it is. So he volunteered, they accepted, and Ovum died. I mean, in a meta sense, yeah, I'd probably pick Artemis over Ovum if I'm going to have someone live. But still, yeah, that was wild. So that was the second death of the session. I did not expect Sloopy to outlive Ovum. I would not have called that, but here we are. So Ovum dies, and we're like, okay, well, the plan really hasn't happened yet, but it still can. So we wait 3 days, and the lottery happens again. We do the rolls again. It works out in our favor this time, and so the witch's name is pulled. And you can see right away the unease on the Jarl's face. He was not expecting this. And he does not want to confront the witch and tell her she's to be sacrificed. So they head off, and they bring out some other random, like, old woman. And they're like, here's the witch. And they apparently beat her, who knows what, to convince her to say that she's the witch. So she says she's the witch. And the town, for whatever reason, has never seen the witch. Which just raises so many questions about this whole concept. But she's, you know, the town's like, okay, that's the witch. And even if they knew it wasn't the witch, they don't really care. As long as someone's sacrificed, they don't care. Now, all of us know that that's not the witch. We saw her. We met her. And we try and raise a ruckus. Like, yeah, that's not the witch. We've seen the witch. But it doesn't take. No one's interested. We're a bunch of weird foreigners. So, Artemis immediately heads over to the witch's house. She lets him in. And he tells her that her name was pulled in the lottery. And the Jarl brought out some other old woman and said it was the witch. And then I say that now, because the witch is technically dead, you know, as far as the town is concerned, she was just sacrificed. Her house is technically for sale. Or her land, or whatever. And I think she said something like, you know, if the Jarl wants to sell my land, he can come and try and take it, or something like that. she wasn't too phased. And so I said, well, you know, you have a very nice house. Maybe I'd be interested in buying it. And this leads her into a alternative proposition in which she is appealed by my young, supple halfling body. And she wants to marry me. So a bit of a curveball. And she says that if we get married, she will help me, she will help us kill the wolf, kill the beast. Now, that's pretty good, because that would mean that I don't have to go into the tomb. Now, of course, again, I'd rather have Sloopy marry her and just be done with him. But, again, when it's my main character, it's just going to be more interesting. That's basically how Ziggy is keeping things interesting. Because if Artemis were to just die, I think he's really the one spearheading the anti-tomb movement. So, it's hard to say. We'd probably all just go in the tomb. But Artemis agrees to marry her. And she specifically makes him, like, make a promise out loud. And then she, like, takes part of his essence or something and she puts it in a jar. I don't know. Clearly, you know, he's entered into some sort of magical contract with this witch in his promise to marry her. Now, of course, Artemis does not want to marry her, and I don't want Artemis to marry her, because that can't be good. But she writes a letter addressed to the Jarl, saying that, you know, he needs to make a wedding happen. You know, he needs to legally recognize this marriage or whatever. And so I take the letter to him, and he does not seem too phased by the I mean, he's surprised, of course, that someone would want to marry her, but he's not like, oh shit, my secret's gonna come out or anything like that. He was not worried. And he said that he would arrange for a wedding. So I go back to the witch. And she says that she's changed her mind. And she's decided that we cannot be wed while the beast still lives. I don't know exactly what her logic was, but that's what she decided. So she was going to help us kill the beast, and then we shall be married. Her assistance came in the form of some magical shackles. Much like Fenrir. So she gave us these magical shackles, and she said if we put these on the wolf, on the beast, we'll be able to kill him once and for all, and he won't reincarnate or whatever. Which is pretty good, but that still does not solve the actual problem of killing, you know, fighting the beast, since we're all peasants. So I took the binding to the Jarl, and I said, look, the witch gave us these shackles that will help us kill the beast once and for all, but I need the help of your thanes. And his advisor started speaking and saying shit like, you know, the priest tells us that if we are free of sin, the beast will bother us no more. Which, you know, is basically the plot of Final Fantasy X. And so the Jarl's just like, you know, he stands with his advisor. And so he's not going to provide his Thanes to us. I think Ziggy just did not want us to have the Thanes just fight for us and win the combat. He wants us to get involved. You know, it's not all just about what's a logical story. You know, sometimes you just gotta roll with what the DM does, and just deal with it in a meta way, or, you know, whatever. You just gotta roll with the punches. So, no matter what, I wasn't getting the Thanes. I'll have to live with that. So then I went to the tavern. And the tavern was packed, thanks to some very lucky random rolls. So the packed house, I hop up on a table, I show off the magical shackles, and I give a rousing speech about how with this we can finally kill the beast once and for all, and the sacrifices can stop, and we can save the town, and so on and so forth. And thanks to a very lucky charisma roll, I managed to recruit 9 townspeople to fight alongside us. Now, of course, they won't be fighting alongside us. They will, of course, be the fodder while we throw rocks and arrows and stuff at the beast, so that none of us die and all of them die. But, in a sense, they'll be fighting alongside us. Now, when I went to the Jarl and told him about the magical binding, I said that if I kill the beast, I want a favor from you. And he said, you know, of course, anything. If you kill the beast, of course. And I said, if I kill the beast, I want you to kill the witch. And he was a little, like, confused why I would agree to marry her and then kill her. But he said if I kill the beast, he will try to make it happen. And so that's pretty much where we stopped. So what's going to happen is we're going to try and kill the beast. I'm sure it'll happen, I just don't know how many will die in the process. Artemis has a bow, so he's pretty much just going to stay as far back as possible and hopefully help a little bit, and in the end, maybe he'll be the only survivor. I don't know. Then, after we kill the beast, I'm going to tell the witch that, as a custom of my people, marriages are always performed in a graveyard to symbolize that this bond transcends even through death, or, you know, something like that. Now, this town doesn't actually have a graveyard. They burn all their bodies, but so they do have a funeral pyre. So, in lieu of a graveyard, I would say we can get married at the funeral pyre. Because I know she would want to get married in her house, because she rarely leaves the house. But I'm going to convince her that we need to get married at the funeral pyre at midnight. Otherwise, no deal. And that is where the ambush will happen from all the Jarl's Thanes. Because if we were to get married at her house, that would be a lot trickier to pull off. But in a public location, it's going to be doable. So they're going to jump her, they're going to murder her, I'm not going to marry her, and we're all going to just live happily ever after. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Probably this next session will be the final one of the funnel. I'm thinking. Hopefully. But anyways, real quick, because I know we're at an hour, I want to talk about the Dungeon World session I had yesterday with my family. We started a new campaign. I'm abandoning running the D&D adventure modules, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, this is too complicated for them. We're just going to start over and start simple. So we went back to level 1 with Dungeon World, and I didn't plan anything. I had no idea what was going to happen in this session. I sat them down, and I said, okay, you are being chased down a dark pathway. That was it. That was the setup. And then I asked them questions like, where are you? What is chasing you? Why are they chasing you? And what's preventing you from just fighting them? Now, I started, where are you, with my mom, and she gave a decent setup. She said, the Great Forest. It's like, okay, you're in the Great Forest. You're being chased through it. Then I went to my sister and I asked, what's chasing you? And there's so many options. You could have a dragon or, who knows what. All sorts of things could be chasing you. She immediately said, 3 goblins. Now, either one of those components could certainly work. If she had just said goblins, I'd be like, okay, there's 300 goblins chasing you. It's like, okay. You come up with some crazy big number and it's cool. It's like, why are 300 goblins chasing you? And if she had just said 3 of almost anything else, it could have worked. Like 3 dragons, or 3 bugbears, or 3 owl bears, or 3 giants. 3 of almost anything bigger. But 3 goblins was like, okay, there's really no reason why you wouldn't just kill these 3 goblins. So then I went to my aunt. I'm like, okay, why are they chasing you? Honestly, I don't even remember what she said. So it must not have been too impactful. Then I asked my brother-in-law, I'm like, okay, what's stopping you from just fighting the 3 goblins? Which is a really tricky question. It's like, why wouldn't you? And he said something like, we don't know that there's only 3 of them. We think there's a lot more. It's like, okay, it's pretty tricky for 3 goblins to pull off, but somehow they're convincing you that there's a whole horde of them. This is very unusual for goblins, but alright. And I decided that was not quite enough for me to continue on from, because we still don't really have something there. So then I continued and I asked, why are you in the Great Forest? And I think we got the answer of, like, they are hunting. They're searching for a great treasure. And continuing on, they said that the treasure was hidden behind a waterfall. And it's guarded. And so then I asked someone else, what's guarding the treasure? And I asked my brother-in-law, and he immediately said swimsuit models. And this is sort of a problem with Dungeon World and asking questions and things like that. Because you're going to have people that lean in hard on the whole, like, embracing the story and being like, a great dragon, or something like that. It's like this great threat that they have to fight. And then you're going to get some people that are just trying to cheese the system and being like, oh, well, it's a very friendly old man that gives away all his money, like, just... And so in that situation, it's up to the DM to say, like, oh, you're trying to cheese it? Well, here, get fucked. And really turn it around. So, they started yelling at him about swimsuit models, and I'm like, well, I mean, maybe we can have, like, this like, troop of Amazonian orc female warriors or something that wear skimpy armor, but they're really badass fighters, or something like, I don't know. And just the legend has been that there's the skimpy women, skimpy armor women, I don't know. But he revised it and he said, okay, mermaids. I'm like, okay, mermaids. Obviously this is not going to be, the Little Mermaid. These are going to be like real fucking vicious things. It turned into just lizard men. Because basically, I decided that they were just recounting, like, a legend that they had heard. Because no one had ever really... None of them had been there. So they had just heard about this treasure and these mermaids and stuff and blah, blah, blah. But it really turned out to be lizard men that lived here behind this waterfall. And then finally I asked, okay, what is the treasure? And basically, all of them were a little upset that they had lost the magic items from the last campaign, because they had sort of grown attached. So they basically just said the treasure was all of their old magic items. I was like, okay, well, you know, we'll see how much the legend is true. And so that was it. There we have our adventure. They're in the Great Forest. They're looking for this waterfall. It's guarded by mermaids, supposedly. And behind it, there is some ancient treasure. Boom, done. Now, we sort of abandoned the goblins completely. But to be fair, it was really lame. There was also talk of like some other groups that were also hunting for the treasure, but that sort of got abandoned as well. You know, I'm new to this. Maybe it would have been better if I had incorporated more of that, but it's not a simple thing to just do completely improv like that. But in the end, they all really enjoyed the session. So, job well done, I think. Basically, they encountered the lizard men by the waterfall. They attacked them. They fled. You know, I'm not going to waste time going into all of it. They went past the waterfall into this cave system. They fought some more lizard men. They found like the lizard men breeding pits, and they were like killing the guards, and they were about to like kill all the women and stuff. And then I decided that there was one old lizard man that actually speaks common. And so he comes out and he's like, "Stop the violence," and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, "Where's the treasure, old man?" And I think they actually shot him in the leg with an arrow, which was just, holy shit. And so he said he doesn't know anything about treasure, but he knows that there is a door in the back of the lizardmen village that they have never been able to open. And so he says, you know, "We'll lead you to the door. We will not attack you, but you have to take one of our warriors with you." And they promised to, like, split some of the treasure with them. And so, like, for, like, half an hour, I was trying to, like, DM and look online on my phone for, like, some puzzle door that I could throw at them. Keeping in mind that they're all very stupid. So, you know, I can't throw anything too complicated at them. But it also needed to be complicated enough that it doesn't make the lizard men look completely retarded. Like, how did they not get this door open? And so they get to the door, and my sister, who's playing an elf, decides to just say the elven word for friend. Again, because she's a big Lord of the Rings fan. And I'm like, at first I was like, no. But then I was like, okay, I guess that makes sense as to why they couldn't, the lizard men could never open it. None of them speak Elvish. And it's like, okay, maybe that's a common trope in this setting, is that many elven doors are just locked with the Elvish word for friend. Probably to not great effect in the wide world, but it just so happened in this case, none of them, the lizard people, know this. And I was like, I don't want that to just be the only thing blocking this door, because that would be nothing for them. So I had this, like, face appear in the door and ask them 3 riddles. And I picked, you know, pretty basic, easy rituals, but again, these people are really stupid. I don't mean to be mean, I'm just stating a fact. These are not bright people. And so they didn't solve any of the riddles. The first one I threw at them, I wasn't really happy about the given answer, and so I just accepted their answer because it made about as much sense. For the second and third riddles, they were completely stumped, and they basically just looked it up online and just told me the answer, and I'm like... and then I gave them a 4th riddle just for the hell of it, and they couldn't solve that one either, and I'm like, alright, the door opens, whatever. So they go into basically this dungeon, this ancient tomb, and I could have just improv the whole thing, but I wanted some ideas, and so I ended up just quickly looking up on my phone like a 1-page dungeon, and I just sort of used that. For the most part, I changed a bunch of things, but I ran them through that, and they all got beaten down pretty good. None of them died, though. It seemed like a hard-fought victory, but they did win, and in the end, they got to the treasure room. They got all their treasure, which turned out to be 3 magic swords and a magical cloak and a bunch of gold. And they got out, and they thought it was an awesome session, and there you go. So, I recommend, if you're ever playing Dungeon World, or, I mean, really, it could probably work for any sort of game, but Dungeon World, it's designed to do it. Just start out with, you know, you're being chased down a dark pathway, and just go from there. You'd be surprised. I had no idea what to expect, but that's how we ended up. The lizard men cave guarding the ancient treasure in the forest. You know, these people are, again, they're simple, so I didn't expect like some huge crazy adventure to develop from these questions. But, you know, they made it their own and they enjoyed it, so boom. So from now on, I think our schedules for that family RPG thing get a little rough, so I think we're only going to be playing like once a month. So it's pretty much going to be like a one-shot every time we play, but I think they're okay with that. I'm going to try to get Ziggy to DM one of them, so that I can play with them and sort of, you know, teach them how to play. But, yeah, it's all good. Okay, I think that wraps us up for today. Check out the Dr. Bright video tomorrow, or the audio if you want to do the podcast thing. We've got some more Final Fantasy 13, the last video of Simulacra, and something new this week, and that's about it. So, my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. I'll see you fine folks next week.